The Washington Post reported that Trump had a phone call with Putin after he won re-election, but the Kremlin denies the call took place and the only sources to verify it are anonymous. Welcome to Newspeak, I'm Holly Kellum. On Sunday, the Washington Post reported that Trump spoke by phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin just a day after he won re-election. It cited several people familiar with the matter as the source of this information. In a follow-up article on Monday, it clarified that several people in this case meant 5. Reuters also published a single-source story on Monday saying the same thing. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov denied that the call took place. According to Russian state media TASS, he described the Washington Post and Reuters reports about the alleged telephone conversation as the most remarkable example of the quality of the information that is published nowadays, sometimes even by quite respected outlets. Now, I think 10 years ago, most, if not all Americans would believe the Washington Post and Reuters over the Kremlin. After all, Putin is an adversary who doesn't lose sleep over twisting the truth. Look no further than Peskov saying just 3 months before Russia invaded Ukraine that Russia had no plans to invade Ukraine. That was despite Russia already massing troops on the Russia-Ukraine border, which the whole world could see. Now, I'm not saying here that Reuters or the Washington Post are comparable to state media like TASS or Russia Today, but I do think that the media repeatedly and falsely accusing Trump and his allies of working with Russia has made many Americans wary of believing everything they read in the American press. For example, a key start to the Russiagate investigation was an article that appeared in Yahoo News by Chief Investigative Correspondent Michael Isikoff. That article claimed that Trump advisor Carter Page was communicating with senior Russian officials about easing up on U.S. sanctions should Trump get elected. A main source of that article we now know was former British intelligence agent Christopher Steele. Steele was not only the author of the now discredited Steele dossier linking the Trump campaign to Russia, but was indirectly on the payroll of the Clinton campaign. His main source for the dossier was his employee, Igor Danchenko, a Russian national who was later indicted for lying to the FBI, although he was later acquitted by a D.C. jury. Yahoo News has yet to issue any sort of editor's note about Steele being its source, even after Danchenko told the FBI he was dismayed that what he said was reported as fact and not speculation. And then there was the false intelligence about the Trump organization using a secret server to communicate with a Russian bank. Again, that information led back to the Clinton campaign, which rolled it out as fact. A lawyer for the Clinton campaign was later indicted for lying to the FBI for claiming he wasn't working for the Clinton campaign while providing the FBI's supposed evidence of the communication between the Trump organization and this Russian bank. A DC jury later acquitted him as well. And then there was the CNN story that falsely accused then-Trump campaign transition team member Anthony Scaramucci of meeting with the head of a Russian investment fund. 3 CNN journalists resigned over the story, which CNN said did not follow its standard editorial process. Now, I could go on and on with examples like these because there are many, many more, but I think you get the idea. In its rush to get the latest scoop on the Trump administration's misdeeds, journalists perhaps overlooked some standard journalistic guardrails or withheld skepticism about information that they would otherwise have questioned. The common thread in all these stories was a rush to judgment and a belief in sources that in retrospect should have been suspect. And again, I'm not in any way trying to defend the Kremlin as some sort of credible source of information. It is clearly not. But I think the perception of the mainstream media framing Trump as being guilty until proven innocent has eroded people's trust in its reporting on Trump-Russia ties. Because of that, I think quoting some anonymous sources just isn't enough anymore to convince a lot of Americans that there's actually a story here. There may be, and it's possible in a few days I'll issue an update when this story is corroborated. The Kremlin did say it would be open to talking to Trump before inauguration, but I do think you can forgive a lot of Americans for being skeptical that this story has any merit. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I always love hearing your feedback. Once again, I'm Holly Kellum, and this is Newspeak.